everyone and welcome to my channel. Today's video will not contain much of DIY, but I really hope this will be interesting for any DIY because I want to show you how I store and organize all of my crafting supplies, which I have quite a lot. I'm a blogger, I'm making DIY videos every single week, so I think you understand that I have lots of all kinds of crafting materials and I keep buying something new when what I need for a new project. And till recently all this was laying around here and there and I really needed to declutter all of this. So let me show you how I did this. The first thing I began with was collecting and sorting out all of my supplies and also choosing containers for storage. I bought these transparent plastic containers. What I really liked in these ones was that they have almost straight sides, no round corners or protrusions near the bottom like some of such containers have, so they have a maximum of usable space inside. And besides, this particular series is convenient for me in that all the containers here are stackable, so two smaller containers fit over a bigger one. They are all made like each smaller making the half of the bigger one, and this really helps to save space. And I like that they are wide and flat, so there's no need to dig into them when searching for an item you need. And for me it's really convenient that these containers are transparent, you can see what's inside. This also helps searching for what you need. Next, what I had to do was to decide how many containers I needed. Of course, best was to sort out all of my supplies into categories, and then it would be clear how much volume was needed for this or that category. But I had a lot of different stuff and everything was stored in different places, some of these in our village house, some in our city apartments, so I just couldn't collect all of these at once. So I decided to buy about a dozen containers and sort the things out gradually, raking everything out of different corners and boxes. Of course, this made the estimation of the required number of containers much more complicated for me. I had to go shopping for 3 times, I think, buying more containers before I sorted everything into them. Of course, the volumes of each category was very different, some were big, some very small. Here I tried to combine and separate at the same time, so to say. Sometimes I combined several related categories into one. For example, I didn't make separate containers for all kinds of fibers like sisal, bast, raffia, but combined them into one, and I did the same for moss and bark. Sometimes I had too much stuff to fit into one container, and then on the contrary I thought how to divide the category into several ones. I've got a lot of fabrics and I divided all of these into types like technical fabrics, cotton, fur, felt and so on. Sometimes I had to make it even more detailed. For example, I have quite a lot of elegant fabrics for crafts and I divided them into 3 parts: silk and satin, velvet, brocade and organza. As you can see here, I also combined the categories in order to get the volume of stuff just enough to fit into one container. I used bigger containers for bulkier stuff and flatter ones for storing flat stuff like napkins or feathers. If you have too small amount of some stuff to fit into a large container, you can either make dividers or use inner boxes for placing several kinds of different supplies into a large container, or you can just use smaller containers for this stuff. This second option turned out to be very convenient for me. Here I was going to store most of my craft materials in the pantry at the second story of our village house, and it has a sloped roof, so I could put the smaller containers where the bigger ones no longer fitted, and thanks to this I was able to make the most of the available space. I also used small containers to partially duplicate the categories of larger containers, and I put there smaller items that would otherwise be lost under the bigger items in a large container. For example, I have a container with wooden bases. This is all kinds of wooden candle holders, wooden eggs, clothespins, and some other things. And in a smaller container, I put various wooden beads, balls, carved plywood bases, and everything like this. As for the inside organization, mostly I didn't have to make any, but where I had a huge mess was my ribbons container. Some of ribbons there went on spools. It's convenient to unwind them this way, but the tip dangles and needs to be fixed with a pin or sticky tape. I always forgot to do this and the ribbon would unwind. In addition, these spools didn't fit vertically into my containers. I had to stack them in a pile, which made it difficult to find a ribbon I needed. In addition, many ribbons are sold rolled, and once you've opened the roll, it also unwinds, gets tangled, and you get a huge mess. To put things in order in this container, I decided to make flat cardboard spools. I got two sizes of these, smaller for small length of ribbons and bigger for larger spools. The disadvantage of this method is that there will be creases on the ribbons, but I'm willing to do it for the sake of flat packaging and using all the space. Perhaps later I'll make round coils for all of my ribbons. So I wound the ribbons on these spools, and here is the life hack to keep the ribbon in place. I fixed it with a rubber band. This is very quick and easy, no pins or sticky tape needed. Organizing this will take a lot of time in the beginning. I'm still in the process of organizing, but I hope this will make this container more organized with time. I also want to show you how I store all kinds of small things: beads, seed beads, brads, jewelry findings, flocking powder, mica, glitter, and the like. Usually all of these are sold in small bags, but I don't like storing them like so. Powder would spill from an open bag, and it's also hard to find the right bag in a heap of others. So what I do is I keep such items in jars. Mine are also plastic, so you won't break them. You can also pick from several sizes depending on how much space this or that stuff needs. I bought these jars on eBay a long time ago. I'll leave the link for them in the description box if they are still in stock, and I'll also try to find similar ones in other places like Amazon. So I put all the stuff that is small in size or powder-like into these jars and keep the jars bottom up so that I can clearly see their contents. And when I began decluttering, I had a problem with the storage of these jars. I put them into a drawer of my IKEA rest cabinet. I'll show it to you in detail a bit later, but I had to stack the jars to fit into the drawer, and each time I needed anything, I had to dig into this in order to get the right jar. Searching would take quite a lot of time, so I wanted to change the storage system somehow. In general, the best option for keeping such little things is a cabinet with shallow drawers. I have two custom flat drawers in my cabinet, and here I keep the smallest jars with my jewelry findings. Here everything is clearly visible and easy to search. But back to the jars. Since I didn't have enough shallow drawers for them and didn't want to make a custom cabinet, I decided to use the containers again. I used flat containers and I sorted the jars for them as well. The first container was filled with all kinds of mica, glitter and sparkles. The second one went for all the metal things like brads, bells, jewelry finding that were too large for the shallow drawers, rings, picture pendants, hinges, pins, in general everything that is made of metal. And all kinds of beads went to the third container. Now finding the right jar is very quick and easy. So I sorted out all of my stuff, and after that I decided I needed to mark them somehow. even though the containers are transparent. Sometimes I couldn't tell from the first glance what exactly was inside, so I could skip the right container when looking for a particular item, and after a couple of times when this happened, I decided that I needed labels. I bought self-adhesive paper for printer. If I change something in my storage system, I'll just have to restick a new label instead of an old one. I'll leave the template for these labels in the description box. Mine are in Russian, but I've prepared the English template for you as well. And this is all of my organized stuff at the moment. My pantry is super small and I have no shelves or anything, but at least all of my supplies are sorted out and I can add new stuff there without making much mess like before. I try to keep the most frequently used materials at the top and the least frequently needed at the bottom. Right now I have removed the Christmas stuff to the very bottom because I will not need this container for quite some time. The other part of my storage is tools and paints, which I also have quite a lot. To store these, we bought 2 rust dressers from IKEA. They are super cheap and you can upgrade them easily. This is an older video, so the quality here is not so good. Sorry for that. I bought thin wooden moldings and made framing for all of the drawers to make them look a bit nicer. And then I stained the dressers and dry brushed them in grey and white to make them look like withered wood. I also bought new pulls for the drawers and aged them a little using black spray paint. I also added a top shelf made of wooden board and placed it over 2 bars to have extra space under the top. And I made 2 super shallow custom drawers for that extra space to keep my jewelry findings. This is what I already shown to you. As for paints, to store them, I decided to use an old IKEA cabinet which I had. It's only about 4 inches deep, which was great for my purposes. I think they do not sell these cabinets anymore, they were from Billy Ranch. I repainted it grey and aged it to fit my rust dressers and attached the cabinet to the top shelf. I also added pipe holders from hardware store to the cabinet door from the inside. They now hold all of my paints in tubes. And I also made kind of custom wheeled cabinet. It is thin and quite high and has 2 shelves inside. Here I keep my spray paints. So here is how it is all organized inside. The topmost drawer of rust is mostly used for stationery. Here I store glue, I have quite a lot of all kinds, markers, ink for stamps and all kinds of stationery, staples, paper clips, staplers, scissors and the like. The second drawer is used mostly for tools, my tools for making artificial flowers, box knives and spare blades for them, wire cutters, pliers, my palettes, and finally brushes and sponges. Finally, in the bottom drawer I keep different tapes, a glue gun and glue sticks for it, and all kinds of clamps. In the second flat drawer I store gold leaf, carbon paper and stencils. Followed by self-hardening and polymer clay. I used flat organizers for it before, but now I store open packs in Ziploc bags, which I like more. And also here I have tools for working with clay, like stacks, spatulas, rolling pins and also hole punches. Finally, in the bottom drawer there's a box with sewing accessories, stocks of foil and all sorts of stuff that hasn't yet been sorted out. And all of the acrylic paints and other art materials like primers, varnishes and the like are stored in the upper cabinet, although I have to say it's packed quite tightly now. I wish it was bigger. Of course, any storage and organization system is very personal thing because everyone has different supplies, and my system is still far from being perfect because I have no shelves in my pantry as I have shown to you, and every time I need to get to the bottom container I have to remove everything from above, and this sometimes drives me crazy because somehow every time I need anything it is in the bottom container. So I really hope I'll improve this later when we have shelving system in our working space, which we are still working on. And I really hope this was helpful for you as well, or at least you had fun watching me decluttering all these things. Thank you for watching this video and hope to see you in the next one. Bye!